What is going on, everybody? Welcome back. The Blood of Dawnwalker launches on September the 3rd, and it is the most ambitious thing on my radar this year. This is the first game from Rebel Wolves, a studio founded by people who led The Witcher 3, and it does something with time that I have never seen an open world RPG try before. So today we are putting everything you need to know in one place. We will cover the Vale and the clock and everything you can do. Almost all of this comes straight from the developer's own gameplay breakdowns. Let us get into it. Before anything else, here are the essentials. The Blood of Dawnwalker arrives on September the 3rd. You can play it on PC, PlayStation 5, and Xbox Series X and S. Rebel Wolves are developing it, and Bandai Namco are publishing it. It runs on Unreal Engine 5, and it is a single-player dark fantasy open-world RPG. The standard edition is $60. There are two $70 versions above that, plus a physical collector's edition with a figurine. And one thing worth saying right up front, this is the first chapter of a planned saga. The game is set in Vale, Sangora, a secluded valley in the Carpathian Mountains. It is the 14th century and the plague is tearing its way across Europe. The human rulers here proved far too weak to protect anyone, so a vampire took the valley instead. His name is Brencis, and the interesting thing is that he is not a mindless monster. He heals the sick using his own blood. In return, he demands absolute obedience, and he levies a blood tax on the living. The vampires in this world are called the Valkyrie. Brencis rules them from Greatburg Castle, which looks down over the largest city in the valley. You play as a young man called Coen. His family is taken, and that is the moment the whole game starts turning. Somewhere in that fallout, Coen becomes a Dawnwalker. He is human while the sun is up, and a vampire once it goes down. This is not a cosmetic swap. The two forms have genuinely separate power sets and separate restrictions. The game is constantly asking you which one you want to be right now. Your goal is very easy to describe and very hard to actually do. Get your family back before the coronation. Here's the part that makes this game different from everything else. From the moment your family is taken, you have 30 days and 30 nights, but there is no real time clock ticking away in the corner. Time is a resource that you spend deliberately. It moves forward when you finish a quest or an activity. As those days go by, some opportunities open up and others disappear permanently. So a playthrough is really a long series of decisions about what you're willing to skip. And here's the bit people keep getting wrong. If you run out of time, the game does not end. The story simply takes a different turn. That last one deserves its own moment. Open the perk menu, and every upgrade has an hourglass sitting next to the cost. Buying a perk does not only spend experience points, it spends a segment of your 30 days. So getting stronger and saving your family are pulling directly against each other for the entire game. I genuinely cannot think of another RPG where leveling up is a real sacrifice. The developers showed this on screen too. They bought a perk and the night ended and a new day began right in front of them. The skills are split across 3 separate trees. There are human perks, shared perks, and Valkyrie perks. Active abilities sit in their own tab beside them. Rows further down each tree stay locked until you reach a threshold, so there is a real build order to think about. New perks also come out of the world itself. A manual turned up as loot in the walkthrough, and reading it unlocked a perk called Precision, and you cannot buy any of them wherever you like. Perks are purchased at shrines using experience you earn from completing objectives. Your human powers are witchcraft, and the price of them is unusual. Coen casts Hexes using his own blood. Every spell you throw takes a real bite out of your health bar. There is a whole perk line built around softening that cost. One rank cuts it by 10%, and the next takes it to 20%. Further down that same line, killing an enemy who is affected by your hex gives you back half the health you spent, and hexes do far more than damage. You can speak with the dead to learn what happened in a place. You can move faster in daylight or boil an enemy's blood from a distance. And this is where the duality stops being flavor and starts gating content. Haunted sites can only be tackled during the day. That is because clearing them needs blood magic, and blood magic is simply not available to you in vampire form, so there is content on that map you physically cannot touch after dark. It runs the other way as well. The wolf form is an early perk that lets you travel much faster, and it is night only. If you want that kind of speed during daylight, you have to unlock a separate hex called Mercurial Fervor. 2 forms with 2 separate toolkits on a map that reads differently depending on the hour. At night, the rules change completely. A vampire is always hungry, and feeding is how you heal yourself. Human blood works best, and animal blood works less well, but every single time you feed, your corruption level climbs. That meter sits right beside your health bar, and it is not just a morality score. The higher your corruption goes, the more vampiric perks you are allowed to buy. The game even prints the corruption level a perk requires in its tooltip, so power and humanity sit on the same slider and you choose where to sit on it. Your vampire kit covers claws and fangs and wall climbing. Everything you do out there gets noticed. There's a whole screen called Brencis Court, and it lays the whole regime out as a web. Brencis himself sits right at the center of it. His 3 officers are arranged around him. Their names are Ambrose, Xanthi, and Bakir. Most of that web is still hidden behind question marks when you begin. Ambrose is the youngest of them, turned during the takeover itself. He runs the human blood supply across the northern part of the valley. Each officer also has an anger level, and pushing it to maximum unlocks a side quest tied to that vampire. Underneath all of it runs an infamy meter with named tiers. You start out insignificant, and you climb toward notorious and then dreaded. Infamy tracks how much you are disrupting their operations, and the higher it goes, the harsher the edicts the court issues against you. Combat gives you 2 different ways to play it. Omni block and Omni attack let the game choose your swing and block directions automatically. That is the accessible option, and it works perfectly well. The other option is directional combat, and that is the tactical one. You pick the direction of every attack yourself. On defense, you have to read the enemy's intent and the direction the blow is coming from. Either way, unblockable attacks cannot be blocked at all and have to be dodged, and the vampire form is not some separate minigame. Combat stays directional at night, and Coen keeps his sword. There's a meter that fills as you land successful attacks and blocks and parries. Once it is full, you spend it on an active ability. Voracious Bite is one of those, and it regenerates health in the middle of a fight. Charge stops an enemy counterattacking after they break your chain. Ravenous Flock hits a whole group, first when you cast it, and then again on the follow-up. Boss fights layer on top of all that. Xanthi was shown protected by a vampire ability that only drops once her stamina is gone. A few smaller things are worth knowing before we wrap up. There is a full crafting tab in the character menu sitting alongside your inventory and your journal. There's also a glossary, which for a game inventing this much history is genuinely useful. Out in the world, you have vantage points, and climbing one reveals the opportunities scattered nearby. The map itself looks hand-drawn, and those shrines pull double duty because some of them show up as quest objectives in their own right. Here's the structural claim, and it is a bold one. Every single quest in this game is optional. There is one clear goal, and there is no fixed route to it. The valley is yours to pick apart in whatever order you want across forests and swamps and a proper city. You can even walk out of the prologue and go straight at Brencis. The studio says that beating him as a freshly made Dawnwalker would be a feat worthy of legends, which is a very polite way of saying you will probably die trying. Rebel Wolves have already put the PC requirements out, and they are worth a look. Every single tier asks you for 16 gigabytes of RAM. You will need 60 gigabytes free, and it has to be sitting on a solid-state drive. The operating system target is Windows 10 or newer, running DirectX 12. For graphics, they are quoting an RTX 5060 to run 1080p on high settings. For 4K on Ultra, they are quoting an RTX 5090, and it is worth stressing that those are native engine numbers before any upscaling gets involved. So that is everything we know so far. It launches on September the 3rd, and the standard edition is $60. You get 30 days to save your family, and leveling up spends them. What I want to know is how you are planning to play it. Are you rushing straight down the main thread, or are you spending days on side content and taking the hit? Let me know down below, and if you want more Blood of Dawnwalker coverage before it launches, go ahead and subscribe. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next one.